Now, we all do understand that Pep Guardiola has been more of a god in football, especially in the last 2 decades. Late in towards the 2010s, and in the 2010s and in the earlier past of the 2020, Guardiola was renowned as a football god. All managers, all teams, clubs wanted to replicate what Guardiola was doing, his football, his tactics, the way he actually made football, the passes, the ingenuity, the way his team played, the way his team dominated, and most importantly, the victories that his team had on the pitch that actually saw his team being crowned champions upon champions, dominated England, Germany, and Spain. Now, Guardiola finds himself 3 games into the season, 13th place. And I know it's quite early, but it's quite worrying because these are some of the signs that we saw with Pep sometime last season. Now, Guardiola's recent defeat to Tottenham Hotspur and the subsequent defeat to Brighton actually made it so worse for Pep. First of all, we need to understand what happened to Pep. Are we seeing the decline of Pep? Are we seeing a manager whose tactics have been found out? This is what has characterized Manchester City and Pep for the last 2 decades. The way his team is able to dominate the ball, the way his players, from a well-oiled machine that was drilled to subdue. Some are actually talking about the injury to Rodri. But Rodri is back, and Rodri was even present during the Brighton defeat. What is happening at Manchester City? If you are new in this channel, do not forget to like, share and subscribe. Once again, I'm leaving the link to my second channel in the comment section area below. Subscribe to that channel. Despite having Erling Haaland and how Haaland is so prolific in front of goal, Guardiola still has a problem. How? You need to understand by looking at this image. Look at the position of Bernardo Silva, look at the position of Mateo Kovacic, and look at the position of Arsenal. Manchester City's central zones is actually vacated. And Pep has actually expressed his frustrations to this. But before we understand why Pep is facing these troubles, we need to understand, how does Pep actually want to play? And did it actually make sense? Guardiola's 5 horizontal pitch system saw Guardiola using more of a 3 box-shaped midfield and the attacking 3, where the wingers start out wide. Guardiola's system was so robust in that he always had overloads on each side, on the left and on the right, that made it super difficult for the opposition to counter Pep's team. And whenever players looked to move, you saw other players moving in a counter movement where they occupy the spaces that have been vacated. And because of Guardiola's system of always wanting to have his wingers wide and having his twin 8s and having 2 double pivots, especially when he won the treble where John Stones was actually the one inverting from the centre-back position into midfield alongside Rodri to give Manchester City and Pep much needed steal they need in midfield. This system, Guardiola actually evolved it from Thomas Tuchel's Chelsea 3-4-3. And the box midfield came as a surprise because no team actually found a way of stopping Manchester City. If you dare press the centre backs, the pivots receive the ball. If you now dare press the pivots, the inside forwards receive the ball. If you dare now use your wingers to cover the inside forwards, then the wide players receive the ball and they are now 1v1 with their fullback, or even sometimes 2v1 relative to the position of the inside forwards. Now, when you compare that, what you realize is that teams really struggled to stop this box midfield until Mauricio Pochettino happened. The 1-1 draw at the Etihad in 2023 actually showcased that. In that, Pochettino came up with the 4-2-4, where they would cover the wide centre-backs, use a man-to-man system against the wingers, and use a 4-4 narrow system that will ensure Manchester City will have zero penetration in midfield, and even when they would like to use their centre back to cover them, they will still struggle. So Guardiola opted to move into a diamond or a kite midfield, something that we have also seen Maresca using at Chelsea. But the issue here is that despite Guardiola actually moving into this system that now gives him overloads in the attack that he actually needs, Guardiola has lacked the players who are able to effect this system. The movement of such players has not been quite found. And Guardiola's system has also suffered from when the team actually receives the ball from Manchester City and now they are able to quickly transition against Manchester City, because Manchester City heavily relied on their counter press to stop these situations. So what has gone wrong? Manchester City, they're in that 3-2-2-2-2-3 structure. You can see the position of Bernardo Silva as he moves to receive the ball directly from the centre back. Simple pass, and Manchester City beat Liverpool's forward and midfield lines. A pass is
faster or the quicker on the more physical players. When the distance are and far away, you cannot arrive because the ball is always quicker than us. So that's why he's try to move on in the same time. So when you lose the ball after a sequence for 10, 50, 20 passes, that helps us to be together. The sequence of the passes is to move and to be together. When that's happened, you lose the ball, always your action is the 4 or 5 meters, and you can do it immediately and quickly. And after you can make the transitions. When you lose the ball at 40 meters, you lose the ball, that guy cannot arrive to press him. That's why it's more complicated. When you lose the ball at 40 meters, you lose the ball, that guy cannot arrive to press him. That's why it's more complicated.
Now, what do you understand with what Guardiola has said? It's quite clear. It is the off-the-ball positioning of Manchester City. Now, look at this system here. Manchester City are looking to build from the back. The same Liverpool game. And you can notice one thing. Here, you can see Ilkay Gundogan has the ball and he's looking to spread the ball out wide as Manchester City are looking to build from the back. Now, the spaces and the distances of Manchester City players during build-up is what has actually affected the way they are looking up to play. Because now the ball is being played by Kovacic. You can see that the De Bruyne is actually the free player in between the lines. But you can see the narrow 4-2-4 that Liverpool are actually pressing with. Because it's a structure that Mauricio Pochettino introduced. Manchester City look to attempt a ball directly through midfield to cut Liverpool off because of the narrow structure that Liverpool have created. McAllister wins that ball, and now look, Manchester City are 4v4 against Liverpool. Look at that scenario. Manchester City are 4v4 against Liverpool. Liverpool receive the ball. McAllister now can spot Luis Diaz in acres of space. And Manchester City, look at them, they are not putting the pressure on the person who has the ball. Majority of them have been spread out onto the other side. Now, those are some of the things that Guardiola is talking about. The spaces and the distances between their players during the counter press has increased. But we saw a slight hope for Manchester City in pre-season, but that has not materialized in the league. Now, let's look at this Juventus game and understand how Manchester City were looking to press. Here, Manchester City have the ball, and look at how Juventus are looking to press them. Manchester City are looking to build with that 3-1-3-3 structure that we have also seen Maresca using at Chelsea. And what you notice is that here, Ederson is the one who has stepped out to actually play as an extra player. The wingers, as usual, are starting out wide, and now they're attracting Juventus to go ahead and press them. The inside forwards are still maintaining their position alongside Haaland, but Ederson stepping out is giving Manchester City an extra player in build-up because Ederson is playing as an extra player, as an extra outfielder. Now, what you notice is that the two inside forwards are now moving in midfield to play behind Juventus' four-man midfield that has pushed to press because Manchester City are preying on that Juventus are going to push many players to press them. What you notice next is that after Manchester City actually do this, what happens is that now Ederson is able to play the ball directly in behind for the runs of Erling Haaland. And that is what Guardiola had actually attempted to use Manchester City for. The scenario that Pep finds himself is that he has sold one of his best ball-playing goalkeepers, brought in Trafford, and it seems it's not working because Trafford is not quite press-resistant. He has brought in Donnarumma, an excellent shot stopper, but as well not a good goalkeeper playing with the ball from his feet. Now, are we seeing Guardiola actually changing his philosophy of football, or we are seeing Manchester City planning ahead without Pep? Is Pep Guardiola finished? Do you think we are seeing the sunset days of one of the greatest football managers? Leave your comments in the comment section area below, and thanks for watching, and see you in our next video.